walk, stand, sit. You've got three things here. They're actually a progression. And it's a progression of danger. You see, what can happen to start with in the things that we shouldn't be near is that we walk past them. And we've got our ear inclined to them. You know, there'll be things, if I listed them out, you go, I'd never get involved in that. But if there's a little hook in your heart and you walk too close to it, you'll start to get drawn in. You know, one of the areas that often comes up in the Christian press is the whole thing of pornography. And no, I'd never go near that. But if you walk too close and you've got a hook in your heart, it'll pull you in. And then if you follow that scripture through, it says, you know, don't walk there. But then it says, don't stand there. You see, what happens is if you walk too close, you then get drawn in. Do you know, the number of debates I have with people, and I say, I wouldn't do that because it could lead to that. And they'll say to me, but I know it won't lead to that. And I'll say to them, well, I know that it won't lead to that for me, but I'm not even going to walk past it. And sometimes we need to set a standard that keeps us so far away from something that will tow us into sin that we don't find ourselves being drawn in and standing somewhere we shouldn't stand. And it's so easy to be off our guard, and then we find we get ourselves into trouble. The best thing is to be on your guard and set the standard really high. Do you know, we don't, you know, haven't had need for babysitters for years. But, you know, we'd have babysitters whatever time we got back, you know, and if the babysitter was a lady, I'd never take them home. The only way that I would take them home is if, you know, my grown-up daughter was there and she could come as well. You know, did I think I would get into trouble? No, I didn't. But, you know, I wasn't going to walk past that. You know, set your standard high. And sometimes my wife would say, I really don't want to go out. But she'd say, I have no choice. Do you know, one of our babysitters, as a result of the conversations that my wife had going back and forth, you know, her life was transformed, you know, because of conversations that happened. But don't take yourself somewhere that will then go a further step and get into trouble. You see, the last bit here, it says, don't sit. You know, walk, stand, sit. You see, when you start to sit in something, it affects everything. You know, in this passage it says, don't sit in the seat of mockers. Do you know, at that point, when you're sitting in something, your whole conversation starts to change. You know, what you allow yourself to say. Do you know, with our family, I challenge them with our kids. I challenge them on their language. Do you know, there's many words that most people would think were okay. I'm saying it's not okay. We challenge ourselves on our language. There's words that you can use, and you know, probably even if I used them here, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. But we've pushed the line and said we're not going to say things that, you know, have the wrong emphasis on. I'm just trying to, you know, think of some examples. But I remember listening to our little daughter say some phrases, and they weren't swear words. They were, on one level, there was nothing wrong. But when she said them back, we're like, we're going to change what we say. You know, we could have laughed, you know, and just said, oh, we'll accept that. But you have to set your standard high. So I just want to encourage you, whatever your standard, you know, bring it up a level.